just waiting for you to do.
Hey everybody, this is Victor Lucia, founder and president of the Brooklyn Fishing Club. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Brooklyn Fishing Club podcast. Thank you for everybody who's been listening to the episodes we've had prior to this. Tonight, I am privileged to have 2 very special guests with me. To my left, I have Captain Rudy of Lady L Charters. To my right, I have Captain Frank of Gypsy Charters and various other charters. Right, Frank?
Been around a while.
Gotcha. I'll start with Rudy. Rudy, how long have you been fishing and how did it start for you? I'll start with Rudy. Rudy, how long have you been fishing and how did it start?
Well, I've been fishing since I was about 5 years old. I used to fish by Caesars Bay. It used to be Corvettes back in the day,
Mainly
in the
saltwater?
60s. And my mother used to drop me off in the morning.
Gotcha. How about
pick me
you,
up
Frank?
in
Grew
in
up
the
on the
evening.
beach.
I used to
Either you
fish all
went
day. I
fishing
was a fishing nut.
or surfing, or you went to jail.
Did you do all 3?
No, I don't answer that. I ain't taking a fifth here.
So what would you do on the beach? Just surf fish? That's how it started?
Yeah, started off surfing, surf fishing, bay fishing.
And you
Yeah,
ended
hey,
up
when we
picking
were-
up girls.
Yeah, well, that came later on when we figured that out. Then we used to actually fish off our surfboards. We'd row out to the fish. Yeah, row out to the fish.
How was that? Any luck with that?
Yeah, not bad.
Did they tow you
Except when
around?
you got a bluefish, you had to put your legs back up on a board. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Get chopped up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when did fishing become a business for you guys?
That's a hard thing to say. You kind of just go into it in a way. You fall into it. You need the money to pay the bills for the boat and such, you know,
So how would you say you fell into it?
quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah,
From owning a boat since I'm
sure.
18 years old. You know, to pay the expenses, we used to fish and sell the fish, and then it actually became a business that at the time we used to sell the fish and bring them to the Fulton Fish Market. And striped bass were worth a lot of money back in the day,
How much?
anywhere from $250 to $475.
When you say back in the day, when are you
And
talking
I'm talking from the late 60s for me till 1982 when they shut it down. And put it this way, Frank could vouch for this because we used to fish next to each other half
Sure.
the time.
Yeah.
And you used to catch anywhere from almost nothing to 1,000, 1,500 pounds in a day.
All on bait? On
Jigs, bait, umbrella rigs, spoons, clam bellies. Years ago, we used to clam belly fish. There was only 16-inch limit. And we used to sit there with the clam bellies and bail fish like you have no idea. And today, it's a whole different ball game.
We're gonna get to where it's at today, but I'd definitely like to focus a little bit on the history that both of you have witnessed in terms of New York City fishing. Do you have any specific memories about fishing around New York City that really stick out to you? In terms of good memories?
When the check came in the mail, that was a good one. Yeah,
Check for what?
for the fish.
How many?
Who knows? I don't remember.
Well,
Mm.
good memories were
Yeah.
we used to go out and
Mm.
not like today, there'd be 100 boats and they used to call it the mosquito fleet.
Right, a way of life. That's what it
And-
was.
And we used to go out and the birds were up every day and the fishing was ridiculous. Like you could literally put 100 boats on the tin can grounds or by the jetty or in between the channels and everybody was catching fish. Not like today.
Why'd they call it the mosquito fleet?
Because they were all little boats, all packed up together. And there was some real heavy hitters back in the day.
Yeah,
that-
guys fighting on the water and all kinds of stuff.
Tell me some of those stories.
Oh, I seen a few.
Yeah, what was some of the drama you saw on
One
the
of
water?
the real good
Oh,
ones was there
yeah.
was a captain, Ronnie Leppa.
Yep.
He gaffed the guy
Through the hand.
right in his hand. They were fighting over a spot.
How
Yeah,
the-
the guy came up behind him and grabbed the spot, and Ronnie went a little crazy,
Little,
Mhm.
huh?
Yeah, but he had a little push in the police department, so it didn't go too bad for him.
hmm
Thank God.
What was that, Patty, right?
I don't know who it was.
Yeah, it was
I don't-
Patty.
Was it? Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he gaffed the guy's hand.
Yeah, right through the
yeah, right
hand.
How did he
through his
get
hand.
it out? What happened after he gaffed
Quickly.
him?
Yeah.
He just stuck him and pulled it
I
out.
wasn't there. I didn't see it. I heard about it.
Were you
though.
on the water that day?
No, but
That was
one
the
of my
weak fish
friends
fleet.
was with him, my friend Don
Yeah.
Bingler,
Mm-hmm.
and he told
Don,
me the
yeah.
story.
That was the weak fish fleet. You remember that?
Mhm.
What was
Yeah.
that?
Everybody anchor up for the weak fish, one on top of the other.
So there used to be a pretty consistent weak fish bite.
Oh yeah, it was
Consistent?
tremendous.
It started out that there was a school from the Tin Can grounds out to the old Silver Whistler, which is the last buoy on Ambrose. And
That's right, that's the other one.
Donald Ambrico found him. He comes in. I walked into Stella Maris one day. I see him pulling in. The boat was full of weak fish. They were standing in them, that the fish were actually just about falling off the boat. That's how many fish they had in the boat. And they had caught them on diamond jigs.
Yeah, I remember that.
And after about 2-3 weeks, they had a hard time catching them on diamond jigs. So Don Bingler went out with them,
Yep.
and he said, "What can you do to make us catch these fish again?" So he got an impression, and I actually helped him. He made an impression of a false anchovy, and he made a jig called a bait tail.
Yeah, killer.
So he took an actual
He
anchovy.
took an actual anchovy. We
Yeah.
stuck it in a plaster mold, and I actually carved it up for him. And
Right.
it was a lead head with an amber tube.
Deadly. Yeah,
Deadly
Very
isn't the word.
yeah.
Nuke the reef.
100%.
Excuse me?
Did it nuke the reef?
Did it what?
Nuke the reef.
Oh, you have no clue. You have no clue.
Everybody was looking for him. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah,
Can you
everybody.
still
sold,
get them or no?
He sold over $1 million in 1 year.
What?
Yeah, definitely.
Still in business?
He's dead.
Yeah, he
Sucks.
was a genius.
Yeah, he was
definitely
totally a genius.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Don Bingler.
Yeah. Bengal banana.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He invented the banana, the
Yeah.
Nordic eel,
The umbrella rig.
umbrella rig.
He invented the umbrella rig.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Well,
pretty
he
much.
brought it to life.
He made it better than anybody else that had.
How?
He was a genius, engineer, aerodynamics, all that,
He invented another thing called a lancer
Yeah,
that you used to put on the umbrella rigs,
yep.
and it outfished everything. Everybody else used to use regular tubes and
It was-
stuff. If you had the lances,
Yeah.
you caught more fish than
It
everybody
was
else.
like a double swivel.
hmm
Yeah, that was good.
How do you think he figured that out? Just by trial and error?
Yeah, they had the Bengal fish team. Remember?
Yeah, they had about 4 boats,
Yeah.
said Bingle test boat on them.
George the cop.
Munchie
Yeah, the whole gang. Yeah,
and Gary Goldberg,
yeah,
who actually started S&G afterwards,
yeah.
and Donald Ambrico and Red. They were
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
best fishermen in the whole area.
Are these
Yeah.
guys still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Mayer, too.
Bobby
he was
Mayer,
another
too.
guy.
He runs
went
the
out to
Elizabeth and
Montauk.
Montauk.
He gave them an ass kicking
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
He did.
He was
Yeah,
good.
We tuned them up. Yeah.
Used to call him grass shrimp. He used to
Grass
sit at the roundhouse with live grass shrimp and annihilate the fish.
Yeah.
What
that
kind of
was-
fish? Just
Striped bass.
stripers. Gotcha.
It was all about striped bass.
When you were talking about the weak fish fleet, what was like the average size of the weak fish back then?
Big, 8 pounds and up.
Yeah.
That was the
6 to 8.
average?
Yeah, you never caught a fish under 7 pounds,
Wow.
up to 17.
What happened? They school up real tight, and everybody wants to get on them, and only maybe 4 or 5 guys are really on the main part of the school, and everybody else is trying to get in. That's how you get them That's how you get them wars going on. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I'm going to tell you a story that you're
Yeah.
going to laugh.
Go ahead.
See what he's talking about, the wars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's hear
There was a
about it.
guy, his name was Offshore Louie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what he used to do was the weak fish used to come up and the birds would be working and everybody'd run there and
Yeah.
try to get in on it first. What he would do was he'd come out with a big, big bag of popcorn,
Yeah.
throw the popcorn about a quarter mile, half a mile away from where the weak fish were going to come up. And all the boats would run there. There was no fish because all the birds used to start eating the popcorn.
Magic show. Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
the whole trick with this weak fishing was, which we learned a little later, you catch one, you leave them on the hook,
Yeah.
and you drop the hook. You throw the anchor down. You catch another one, leave them on the hook. And what they did was they were feeding on sand eels, so they were throwing up, creating a chump slick. So after you caught the second one, you reel the first one up, and then somebody else would catch the third one, and you'd leave them down there for a couple of minutes until now, as soon as you dropped your bait tail down, you were catching them one after another. It was unbelievable fishing. I used to carry 4 gaffs on my boat that everybody had their own gaff, and because you were constantly in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
100%.
You know, you were every 2 seconds somebody else had a fish on.
Either that or you just grab the leader and yank them right in. Double headers. Tube, one on a tube, one on a jig.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous fishing that you'd never seen in your life.
Yeah.
What was the limit on them? back
There
then?
was
none.
none.
There wasn't?
Nah, wasn't no
Do you
woman.
think
I
that's
think-
part of the reason why we can't find them anywhere anymore?
Because
It's a cyclic fish. Every
Right.
40 years they supposed
they
to
were
come
gone
around.
for 40 years. We never seen them. And all of a sudden they came in this
Yeah.
giant school, right?
And then you
Yeah,
guys
it was crazy.
wiped them out again.
No, we didn't wipe them out.
No.
The bunker boats did them.
Oh, with the nets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went in between the channels one day. Remember Frank?
Mm.
And they were guys there gill netting
Yeah,
and guys dragging,
yeah,
and they wiped it out.
yeah. It's a tight schooling fish. If you get on them, you know, it's not like you take the whole school.
The
Yeah.
thing was,
Yeah.
we were getting like $1.25
Yeah,
when they first started.
Yeah.
It went down to 10 cents.
yeah, it went low.
It wasn't even worth fishing anymore.
Yeah.
We got more for the blues than the sea
Yeah.
trout. Some days.
What's the biggest bluefish you guys have ever caught?
I don't know, maybe 20.
I had one that was 21.
21.
Caught it on the West Range
Yeah, I hear
with
you.
Bingle trolling tubes.
Yeah, he had good stuff, Cap. Good stuff.
So that guy that made that anchovy lure, can you get that anywhere anymore? You
I
can?
have tons of them. I got the mold and everything.
So who owns that now? His family?
No, he passed on.
Well, I know he passed, but who?
Nah,
Nah.
it was, scammers, those guys.
They
Yeah.
copied him?
Everybody copied it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made all kinds of stuff after that. He made silver tubes that
The
you
Nordic
troll.
eel. Remember
Nordic
that
eel.
one? Yeah,
Nordic
that
eel
come
was
later.
great.
What's the Nordic eel?
Nordic eel is see this straw? It's a lure that was about as thin as this.
Yeah.
And what he did was, he was actually a genius, like Frank said. He used to balance it. Okay? What he did was, we used to stick a pencil or even line inside where the eyelet goes that you tie the hook, and made it so that it sits straight, so that all these fish in our area are normally very close to the bottom. So, like, let's say you got a smiling bill jig. When you brought it up, it came up on an angle that you were only on the bottom for the first 2, 3, 5 cranks. He made this lure that it swam straight across the bottom
Yeah.
until it got to your boat and then came straight up to your boat. So you had the whole time that you were reeling in, and you reeled this thing in very slow, very, very slow. Your lure was always on the bottom because he
think it's
balanced it.
Yeah. And the funny thing, he was the guy that would figure it out all the time. If they
Mhm.
weren't hitting one thing, try something new. And then
Yep.
he'd say, "Oh, they're biting on the red. Let me get a dozen, Don." He says, "Oh, $40.
Mhm.
and it worked.
What did he do like
Yeah.
outside of fishing? Was he like an
He was
engineer,
a
architect,
designer.
designer?
Yeah, he was an ex-Navy guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was a very talented guy
Mhm.
for sure.
All
He's
right,
kind of a legend.
kind
people
of
don't know.
sounds like he's a pretty
Yeah.
big legend.
Yeah, the laws he made were, something
Phenomenal.
His name was Don
Don
Bigler.
Bingler.
Yeah.
Don.
He
or
used to
Dom?
hate.
Donald.
Donald. So
He used to
Donald.
hate that I trolled spoons
why?
Yeah.
Because you didn't troll his stuff.
because sometimes, like, we used to go fishing down at the Highlands for big bass, and they weren't hitting the tubes that great. And I used to tell
Right.
Don, "Let's try putting the spoons on because the spoons will pick out the bigger fish." Because we were fishing with
Rudy's a big
spoon.
spoon guy, always.
And
Yeah, I heard you two love to spoon.
Rudy's got secret stuff. I'm gonna get it though. He's got it hidden away somewhere.
yeah, bent a little bit.
Yeah.
And I used to put the spoons on, and he used to get mad at me. And then when we used to pull the bigger fish, I used to tell him, "See."
But
What would
Rudy
he
did.
say? What would he say?
Go ahead.
But we did catch some big fish on the tubes.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
What were you gonna say, Frank?
The spoon fishing only came back recently. For years, nobody really did much of it, and it got real popular. A lot of guys making,
Mhm.
some fancy spoons out there.
Yeah, there's a couple of real good ones out there now.
The
Who's the-
problem
who's
is
the
you got
best,
to
you
know
think?
how to fish them properly,
Mhm.
That's true.
and guys don't know. And
How do you fish them properly?
the right way? You got to know the tide, the wind, and a lot of other things, the boat speed, and there's a lot of things going on people don't understand.
Got a
What
lot to
about-
do with the rods.
Okay.
Yes, they have to pulsate right.
And
What
What
people
about the wire?
think,
and the,
Monel
yeah, I use Monel.
is better.
that's the
The
type of wire.
stainless
that's the
too
type of
100%.
wire.
The stainless is too springy.
Not
No,
only
that's the
that, if you're
problem.
chartering and the people don't reel it in
You're
properly,
done.
you're done.
Mm.
The Monel is forgiving.
And that's $60 a reel
Yeah.
when they blow it up.
Like we got
Yeah.
people on the boat that it takes 3 people to reel one fish in, right?
Yeah, they take turns.
Yeah,
Got to bring an
it's
oxygen
crazy,
bottle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And with spoons, it's very hard.
And then they still don't listen. Don't
Yeah.
keep pumping the rod. You're going to pull them off. They don't understand the weight of the lure. Pulls it right out of the
Yeah, they
fish's
shake their
mouth.
head.
Like,
Yeah, from what I understand
Yeah.
with the spoon, when you hook a fish,
Mm.
you keep the rod at a certain angle and you leave it there and you
Right.
just reel.
And
Exactly.
a lot of
That's
times
it.
the captain's got to keep it in gear to
I
know,
put it in
make up-
gear all the time.
make
Yeah.
up for the slack
No
that the
slack.
people can't reel fast
I
enough.
see how good the fisherman is.
Yes,
And that's what
yes.
determines how much I put it in
Or
and
you
out of
try
gear.
to get it
Gotcha.
downwind where the wind's holding you
Right.
off. The wind's
Or the
pushing
tide.
against the guy. Like so
A lot
use
of
the-
times
yeah,
in a strong tide,
yep.
I'll actually start to turn the boat a little bit so that the tide is going to push me, because if you're going against the tide, you got to constantly keep it in gear, because otherwise it's going to get slack in the line. They're going to lose the fish.
Yeah, and they can't reel it fast enough.
No.
They're
I
not
mean,
strong enough.
Also, the line is out how far? Like 300 yards?
400 something.
And so then
Depends.
a fish, say a 40-pound fish hits it, takes a run. Now how much line
Oh
are you
yeah,
dealing
you
with?
go to the backing sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they smoking it.
And
You
then
get a
that's
double
when you
header
get
on.
nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's
There's
go-
a lot of good spoons out there.
Mhm.
What are they, Rudy?
Who's got
Come
the
on.
best
The
one?
TGT is
Yes.
actually a very good spoon.
Yeah, it is.
It looks like it's nothing,
Yeah,
but it actually works very well.
the colors work.
What about
Mhm.
Tony's stuff?
Tony Maja spoons are excellent.
Some
Shout out Tony Maja.
yes,
And,
100%.
Believe it or not, in Raritan Bay, his spoons work better than any other spoon.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
especially
think
on
that
a
is?
diesel
the
boat.
small ones still work
Yeah.
good. Yeah, definitely.
Why? Why are they?
Just a matter of way the water is, the clarity, whatever
not
kind
much
of bait
tide.
they're
But
on.
why? Oh, because in Raritan there's not much tide.
Yeah.
There's less tide there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, because I've seen some days I'm using
Yeah.
the ones that I bend, and somebody else is using Tony's, and they're catching better than me. And then I put the Majas on, and I start catching good.
You got to keep switching around if the fish ain't hitting. You
Yep.
got to keep,
Yeah.
trying things.
And you can't fish a spoon without wire, right?
I don't.
Well,
they say you could.
you can with a mojo. There's a thing that you do.
Yeah.
Tony actually had told me about this. What you do is you put the mojo, like a heavy mojo on the bottom, and then you put the spoon up on top.
How far
Right.
up?
Dave, it's
Goes
just
by
the same
water
way.
depth. Water
Okay.
depth, yeah.
You mean how far out do you let it out?
No, how far up on the rig?
Well, what it is it's a tandem rig. One of them's about 5-6 feet. The other
Yeah,
one's
the same
about
way it
10,
would
It's
be.
like a
12 feet.
mojo
Yeah,
rig.
a tandem mojo
Yeah.
rig, but on the top
Yeah.
it would be a spoon.
The thing is,
Yeah.
with the braid and the mojo, the weight of the mojo, you don't have to use the wire because it's
Mm.
bringing it down to the level that you need it.
That's a really good
The only
tip.
thing is, it hinders the action of the spoon a little
Yeah,
bit.
definitely. Yeah,
So-
the weight.
You're not
Yeah.
100% sure of
Mm.
how it's working because you don't actually see the pulsating as much as you do if it's
Yeah.
by itself.
And spoons, you tend to run them a little faster than a mojo. So
Mhm.
mojo's a funny lure. It works, could be deadly. At times they won't touch it.
Mhm.
Who created that lure?
They come out of Chesapeake Bay.
Many, many years ago.
About 25 years ago, I was down there looking at them. I grabbed some. I says, oh, they eat these things down here. Wow. I wonder if they worked up north, and they became a big thing here.
About 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, everybody was grabbing them. But you got to learn how to fish them. It's a tough lure to fish.
Mm-hmm.
Tough lure to fish.
I've tried to fish them where I'm just trolling one
Right.
on each side.
You need a spread.
Yeah, you need a tandem, right?
You need colors. You need a spread. You need
Yeah.
you need the tide right. The boat speed's got to be right. A lot of factors there.
Would you say like the prime boat speed would be like
2 to 3
2 to 3?
knots.
I've actually caught,
I've caught them faster.
Faster.
Yeah, sometimes.
but 2 to 3 is
Yeah.
the actual good speed for them.
But with the bunker spoon, you put them down the middle, you can go faster and
Yeah.
they'll still hit them.
I,
So you
I
could
do
put
that.
2 tandem mojos out the side. And
No,
then
I do the spoons
Spoons
off
on
the
the
end,
side.
and then
with the outrouters.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then the mojo down the middle, because otherwise it don't fish right. You're gonna cross up.
How far back do you put the mojos?
It depend on the depth, or depth
50
of the
feet?
water. No, 200, 100, 150.
Okay. So when you put them down, they're
Yeah.
sinking to the bottom, right?
So I'm using a gauge. I use the metered reels, line counter.
Yeah,
reel.
but even so, if you're
Yeah.
letting out 200 feet or 200 yards, whatever, that mojo is going to be on the bottom before it actually gets into motion, right?
Well, it depends how fast you run on a boat.
Okay.
You
Well,
drop it
you're
out.
putting it out with the boat moving.
Yeah, it has to be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other problem is the mate doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You got to make sure they're swimming right. The hair's got to be, right. The tail, a lot of little things.
So believe it or not, before everybody started using the line counters, what we used to do was
Yeah,
you put it out. When you feel it bounce,
yeah.
you let it out another little bit till you feel it bounce again, and then you reel it in 2 or 3 turns. Then you know you're right near the bottom.
But with the meter, it's idiot proof. And when you
Right.
got, you know what I mean? 175, we put the other one at 200, and there you go. Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's more effective off the beach, the mojos, I find.
You mean trolling along the beach?
Yes,
Yeah.
in the deep water. Sometimes over here on the tin can, they won't touch them. They get on the sand deals and such,
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
won't,
that
won't
happened
touch 'em.
recently.
Yeah, they wouldn't touch them.
Wouldn't touch them. I actually last
Yeah,
week had to
last
put
week.
the tubes out.
Yep.
And they
I
work?
put the umbrella rigs out.
Forget
yeah.
about
But
it.
it's all shorts then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had any close calls with any like dangerous situations while you've been at sea?
A couple.
Let's hear about
I
it.
can,
I got one
Oh.
too. I'll share it last.
I can make like probably a book out of it.
All right. Well, let's hear the most, sketchy.
Well, which ones do you want?
Just
Boat fires, rescues, dead people.
we could start with
groundings.
dead people.
I don't know if I want to go into. We were going on a cruise 4th of July coming out, and what the hell was it? Somebody come up to us on a boat, said that a boat sunk. So we go looking for the people, and we find 2 guys floating in the water, and we had to CPR them, and both of them passed on. It was a kind of a rough deal, Yeah,
Sounds like a pretty bad day.
yeah, it wasn't good. That's for sure.
You
But,
catch any fish though?
No, it was a fireworks cruise.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Any other?
Quite a few, but I might get it.
What one would stand out the most to you?
Friend of mine sunk the boat, and I rescued them.
I think I know who that is.
Yeah, I'd rather not go into it.
Yeah, we don't have to.
But we did end up pulling 8 people out of the water. And
I heard there was one guy in a life vest still drinking a beer.
No, it wasn't that crazy. But we didn't know how we were going to get him back in the boat because it was so rough out. And they had these 2 big monster kids on the boat. And they pulled them in.
No gaff?
No, and then they recorded it on the new phone, the iPhone. I didn't even know they were, doing the TV thing there. And, well, thank God everybody made it back. Thank God. That was the best part.
Did they all have their life jackets on, or some of
Yeah,
them?
everybody had
they
life
did?
jackets on, and it was a rough day, and things didn't go right. And, well, I got about 10 more, but I'm not going to go into
One
it.
more.
We're offshore, and it's late in the afternoon. We see smoke. I says, "Oh, that guy's blowing a lot of smoke." And I says, "Yeah, maybe his filters are clogged up." So now I look with the binoculars, and I don't see no boat. All I see is the smoke. I says, "That doesn't look good. Let's go over there, have a look, see." So now I run over there. There's a big sport fisherman on fire. 10 guys in the front of the boat standing there. Pull up alongside, and I says, "Well, are you guys getting off, or are you going to wait for the boat to blow up?" So they jumped on. Now we had like 18 people on the boat, not enough life jackets. They're trying to hand off rods and every other thing. I says, "Forget about that. Just get off that damn thing before it blows up," and had to call the Coast Guard, stood by another hour, 2 hours, put the fire out, bring everybody in. Main thing, everybody's alive, Yeah.
How'd they react when you cracked that joke?
They wasn't reacting.
They weren't laughing, were they?
They was in shell shock
Gotcha.
because the flames were shooting out the window. The thing went right down to the ground, right to the water level. It was pretty crazy.
Some nice new blackfish structure.
No, there was nothing left.
I'm
It looked like
joking.
a surfboard. They're lucky they were alive because there was nobody around.
So you saved their lives.
Yeah, I done it. Yeah, a couple.
How many lives would you say that you saved at sea?
Let's see. Let me think now. That's 10 there. Let me see. Another 8 on the other boat. Hold on now.
You want me to get the calculator?
Probably be over 20 at least.
Wow.
Yeah, probably be over 20.
You deserve some type of award.
Well, the other guy got an award on the other one. The guy I used to work with, he jumped overboard and saved the one guy when we were doing a CPR on a boat crash.
Uh-huh.
And then they come with the helicopters and lowered the, the divers down, and we, it was pretty crazy, intense. Then I'm on the radio. I'm getting 20,000 questions. What's your GPS coordinates, this and that? I'm trying to resuscitate the guy in the back of the boat. The women are flipping out, crying, and it was crazy things like,
You were personally giving him CPR?
Yeah, sure.
Did he come back?
No, I didn't make it. Tough.
Rudy, how about you?
I've had a couple of good ones. What was the one I told you before?
Yeah.
July 1988.
There's a storm. I was in a tournament. I used to be in.
Oh, my God, I know that one. My friends went down in that storm.
Yeah, the 21
They
boats
lived?
sank that
July
day.
27th.
Exactly.
I know exactly. I was supposed to
1988.
be on the freaking boat that day, and I didn't go.
How many boats sank?
21 boats sank
Yes,
that day. It
100%.
was written up in a magazine,
Yeah.
Canyon Magazine,
Yes.
as the worst unpredicted storm ever.
Yes, it come up as a bad squall. Go ahead, Rudy. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. I was fishing off the Highlands. We were in a bluefish and striped bass tournament. And I had just gotten the radar on my boat. And I'm looking by Staten Island. And
Yeah.
I see it like a green thing growing on this radar. And I see black over Staten Island.
You was out that day, Rudy?
What?
You were out that day?
I was in it.
Oh, man, that was a bad one, brother.
So I said to my friends, you know what? Reel up the lines. It was flat, calm, like glass.
Yeah.
I reeled up the lines. I got as far as the tin can grounds, and it looked like a wall of water coming at me. It was blowing 70 miles an hour. I had 2 guys on the boat. One of them I put in the front of the boat because even with the radar, you couldn't see. It was so bad that you could not see 5 feet in front of you. There were boats jetting out from everywhere trying to get into the inlet.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do more than like 5, maybe 6 knots. So I was just stemming the tide going into the waves. I had one guy in the front. He came in screaming, yelling, "I want my life preserver." He went into the cabin to get his life preserver. He never came back out. The other guy went in the cabin. He never came out.
Mm.
So I'm just stemming the tide, and the waves are coming over, and I had a walk around at the time,
Right.
and the water was just rushing out the back of the boat. I would just goose it every once in a while when, it started getting a little deep, and it would just go right out the scuppers. It lasted, I'd say, about 45 minutes to an hour, and it blew over. Another friend of mine was with me at the Highlands. He had just left to go to 17, and I told him, I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Turn around." He says, "It's going to go the other way." I said, "All right, do what you want." He wound up anchoring up there, and him and the guy he was with are in the cabin, and they stood in the cabin. The kid that was with him was sick, and I don't have to say what he was doing all over him, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
got a little wild, and
Yeah.
they wound up almost sinking the boat.
That was a
He was in a
crazy day,
22
bro.
Aquasport.
Insane.
A guy right next to
Yeah.
them was whale watching in a 32-foot lures. They took a wave over the stern, crashed into the glass windows. They had the glass sliding doors.
Yeah.
The boat went right down.
One wave.
One wave. Another boat in Jamaica Bay, the Moonraker,
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
he went down.
He went down.
That was a party boat,
And
or
it was a Mako,
okay?
and plenty of other boats sunk.
I
And
have a
after that, I made my way into Shipshead Bay,
lucky. Yeah.
and I waited a little bit. I came back out. I went to the jetty,
Mm.
made 2 passes. I got a 25-pound bass. I won the
Nice.
tournament.
That was the reward.
A couple of other friends of mine were out, off 17 and, offshore all over the place, blue fishing. They came back. Some of the guys actually sold their boats after that.
Yeah. My friend went down in that storm offshore. I was supposed to be on a boat that day.
Did he make it?
They made it, but 2 of them went down with the boat. Bad.
They just didn't get off in time.
Excuse me?
They didn't get off the boat in time.
It was very bad off there. They got hit by like a tornado. Very
Yeah,
bad.
it was terrible. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. It just, for some reason, the storms that come up in the middle of the day at like 12, 1 o'clock seem to
Came
be
up.
the worst ones. This
Yeah.
was 1 o'clock in the
It was
afternoon.
a line squall.
Mhm.
The sky went black, middle of the day, pitch black. The street lights came on. The rain come sideways, cuts you like a knife.
Mhm.
Unbelievable.
Nobody.
60, 80
people
knots
had
a wind.
black and blues all over them
Yeah.
from the hail.
Yeah, it was
Getting hit with it.
bad. Bad.
They were getting pelted with it. I had a friend of mine on a 47-foot Viking. They thought they were going to die. All their refrigerators and couches, their wives were on the boat. Got on top of them, and my friend was on the top with the other guy,
That was a
on the
bad
fly
one.
bridge. He was a little stocky guy. My friend said he was getting
Yeah.
knocked around like a beach ball.
The name of the boat offshore that went down was the Rebound. They were friends of mine, ex-Navy guys. And, all well trained. They seen it coming on the radar, try to beat it, took a wave, busted the back off the boat. The doors, it was a galley down Hatteras where all the water ran down into the front.
Yeah,
Within
exactly.
3 minutes, she pitched over.
Mhm.
The one girl got blown overboard, and another one went overboard. They went to launch the life raft. The wind was so hard, it ripped the painter. That's the line you're supposed to hold, the safety line. Right off. Off goes the life raft, inflates. This is the story. It's in a book, too. It's unbelievable. They're all merchant marine guys. So what happens? Those 2 get knocked off the boat. The boat pitches over. My friend's down in the cabin with a life jacket. He freezes. He won't let go of the ceiling. My other friend has him by the hand, trying to get him out the window. And the guy goes down with the freaking boat. They made a golf tournament for him, for the kid that went down.
Wow.
They have it down a Rockaway. I'm waiting back at the dock now, seeing with the storm, one of these guys coming in, and I'm starting to freak out. I'm saying, oh man, I hope he knows what he was doing. And they got rescued 20 hours in the water. Guys coming from offshore, saw the two kids in the water, not at the life raft, near it. Picked them up, did a search pattern, found the other guys 3 miles away, hanging on. One guy had a broken hand, broken arm. One, was in bad shape.
And one guy went
And
down.
they
with the
lost
ship.
the boat. And if you go into, there's a book about it on Merchant Marine Academy. Has an actual thing about it because these were all guys from Fort Schuyler, trained guys. They made the life jackets out of the pants, blew them up, all kinds of things. Yeah, so it was tough.
So
Felt bad about it.
would you say that was one of the most tragic days of fishing in New York City you could remember?
No,
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
one worse
definitely.
than that.
There was
probably,
one
yeah.
worse
The
than
Labor
that?
Day storm. Remember that?
What year was
No.
that?
That was
Oh, that- 93?
1999.
The one with the big flood?
I don't know. It was 1999.
I
It
think
was
for,
Labor Day.
Yeah,
It was 90-mile-an-hour winds.
yeah. But a lot of boats went down on that one
Yeah,
you were
the one that
talking,
we were
Rudy.
talking about. 21 boats
But
sank.
it-
I
How
know
many
There's
how many
actual-
lives were taken that day?
Oh, quite
don't
a
know,
few.
but a lot.
Yeah, at least quite a few if you look into it. Definitely. But if you go in the Merchant Marine has a book, about sea things, like a storybook, and the whole account of that sinking is in there, and the training that these guys, more people would have been lost, for what they did. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing
Serious
is a
thing.
lot of people, they don't know how to act.
They
when
don't.
Something like that happens.
You
And
got to keep your head.
And the boat
start-
went down in 3 minutes. Straight line winds, tornadoes with and the seas were 15, 20 foot over there with the tornado.
not like far apart.
Yeah, right.
Right
They
on
were in
the-
the mud hole,
You know,
shark
it
fishing.
winds up getting
Yeah.
that the seas get closer that big. So now
Crazy
you
things.
go
yeah.
broadside for 2 seconds, you're
Yeah.
done. You got to constantly be on the wheel and keep the boat straight, and just keep everything exactly so that you don't turn over.
And just hope that you can control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Pretty
all about
much.
power.
Yeah.
You got to keep the boat powered up.
And a good
enough.
bilge pump.
Yeah. A couple of good bilge
Yeah.
pumps.
Yeah, for sure.
And if
That's
you
for
don't have
sure.
a self-bailing boat, you're in trouble.
So they blamed the poor guy for the kid drowning, but
Who'd they blame for it? The captain?
yeah, they blamed him, but it really wasn't his fault, and he got a bad name in the town out of it.
Really?
He had passed on anyway, but
So the kid had his arm out the window. They were trying to get him, and it just
yeah,
went down.
he froze. The life jacket actually killed him because he got pinned.
Oh,
as
he
the
couldn't
boat was
get
going
out.
down. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The other bad thing is
Yeah.
wearing boots.
yeah,
I know people
Yeah.
that I rescued a guy once. He was wearing boots.
yeah,
His boat sank, and the boots were pulling him down.
yeah.
I jumped in the water and pulled the boots off him.
I done one like that.
My uncle actually taught me about that when I was
Because the
about
boots
7.
fill up with water,
Yep.
Yeah,
and it pulls you down.
Yeah.
I did a 360 off the back of the boat. Remember Frankie? Poor Frankie Rios.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he puts the wire in the wheel. He says, go back there, pull it out. It was an outboard, Says, yeah, tilt it up, right? So I'm reaching over, the motor's up. He didn't lock the mechanism. I done a 360 over the back of the boat.
Oh,
I was,
God.
yeah, and went in, hold on. And Bobby Mayer was hanging next to me. He says, Frankie, you seen any fish down there? I come up, kept fishing, pulled myself back in. It was November, cold, bad. It was a tough one, that one.
It's pretty amazing to me that, even in these times of,
Yeah.
I don't even know, like chaos, right? Like
Dude, you got to
you're,
react quick.
you're still cracking jokes, though.
You have
you
to
still
react
got
quick.
your sense of humor about you.
You have to. Because you have to. Rudy knows, when things happen on a boat, you have to be ready and have a clear head of what to do.
You see, put it this way.
Yeah.
I don't know about
100%.
you, but I get nervous before it happens because you don't know what's going to happen. And then when I'm in it, I totally got my head.
You
You
have
know what
to.
I mean? Like the fear goes away,
Yeah.
and your adrenaline and everything take over and gives you the sense to do the right thing.
Yes.
It's almost like being on
100%.
stage, right?
Yeah.
You have to focus.
But the
You
thing is,
focus.
if you
Yes.
keep the scaredness in you,
Yeah.
you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
keep your head,
Yep.
because otherwise it just doesn't work.
We got a
Yeah.
broken fuel line in Ambrose Channel one time, half a fog running out, and I didn't know it was broke. And all of a sudden, the boat stalls out, and here comes these ships. And the other guy's saying, "What are we gonna do?" I told him, "Don't look up." I says, "I got it fixed." I jack rigged it, and we got the hell out of there quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that happened to me once.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
boat with an outdrive,
Oh God.
and the propeller blew.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it's
you
got a
spun
hub in it, like the hub.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was actually going bass fishing. At this time, there was no Loran, no GPS,
all that,
no
right.
nothing. So we used to just use a compass heading,
Yep.
time, speed, and distance.
Yep. The old way.
And I was going to Sandy Hook. There was supposed to be a big bass bite going on,
Yeah.
and you couldn't see 5 feet in front of me.
Yep.
But at that time, you're out of your mind. You don't care about anything. You don't fear
Right.
nothing.
You're young and full of energy.
And you're doing 20 knots, 25 knots
Oh,
in dense fog. So I passed Sandy Hook because I never seen the fleet of boats. I wound up in Raritan Bay.
Right.
I said to the guy, "Where am I?" I was about 18, 19 years old. He turned the boat around. I started heading west, going towards Norton's Point. I passed the islands, and all of a sudden the prop goes. So now I could only do 5 miles an hour. So I'm
Yeah.
coming towards the channel. I don't even know I'm coming towards the channel because you have nothing to go by.
Right. No
Yeah.
plotter back then.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I hear, ooh, ooh, ch, ch, ch. We look up, and what we see is a Texaco sign.
Yeah.
It looked like an apartment building coming at us.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
All right.
Yeah.
And we were maybe 15, 20 feet away from it. And he was headed right for the boat.
Yeah.
My friend stood in the back.
And them
with
things
their
are
hands
fast,
up.
brother.
Yeah. With their hands in the back,
Yep.
waiting to push off. That's how
Yeah.
close we got.
Yep.
It was so scary, you have no idea. That was the scariest thing of my
That make
life.
you go by your radar fast, brother.
Yeah. But we were kids. We had
Yeah.
no money to buy a radar.
Yeah, you didn't have nothing.
And
Yeah.
GPS and Loran wasn't even out then.
You use
Yeah.
a watch, run so many RPMs, 10 miles or whatever,
Yeah,
southwest,
that's how we used
20
to travel.
degrees, 3 minutes, stop, and look at the bottom, and then try to figure out where the hell you at.
That's how we
Yeah.
used to travel
In the
back then.
fog, yeah. Yeah.
But the thing was, back then, you had no fear of anything.
No.
You used to go out and stuff. Party boats were turning around. I was
And you
still
catch
going.
fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, with no electronics. Nothing.
Yeah, we used to range.
Yeah.
That's how
Look
we
on the
used to
shore.
fish.
Everything's ranging.
Everything was ranges.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were able to stop on a spot doing like 15 knots.
As long as you could see.
If you could see the
Yeah.
ranges, you were able to stop right on a spot just by looking at the ranges.
Still more accurate than the GPS. Still
Dead
more
on.
accurate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dead
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Because people don't realize GPS, it's a matter of what the government's giving you. It could be a DGPS, which is a differential, is much more accurate.
Was.
And the wide augment, that's an aviation-based system. But the problem with GPS is the tide goes up and down. So it's a number factor. At low tide and at high tide, you're not in the same position because you have a difference of measurements. You're
Mhm.
6 foot, you're 10 foot off. See? People don't see
And
that.
believe it or not, it's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And
years
you'll
ago.
have two machines on one boat, and they don't read the same.
Mhm.
And how come they ain't reading? Because whatever signal they're acquiring, it's not the same thing. You know? For sure. Accuracy counts sometimes. Not now. Everybody's a genius now.
Yeah.
Go over
Everything's
there
right
and
on
mug
the
'em
map.
all.
Yeah.
Hit the button X. There he is. Then they
Mhm.
go on the internet and, they see who caught, and then they go follow that guy the next day. you know?
Yeah.
It's hard for the charter guys now, really, because everybody's with these electronics. It's tough. It really is.
Yeah, not only that, a lot of these Navionics chips and stuff
Yeah,
have almost everything is on there,
it's in there.
you know?
Even the bottom contours, the new stuff, Simrad has it, where you
Mm-hmm.
can look at the bottom without even having no numbers and see it already. It's already showing it to you.
Yeah.
How do you
You know?
feel about that? Do you, as someone who's like,
Well, I guess
been-
I like the radar. You don't see the Texaco. That's the best part. I got a good radar on my boat, man. I tell you, you need it, bro. Yeah.
yeah,
And especially when you're carrying people, they're talking to you. You can't see 1 inch, and the guy's talking, asking a million questions, and I'm worried I'm going to crash into something, and he doesn't realize that. I'm trying to focus. It's a lot of focusing. In
Yeah, a
fishing.
lot of people don't realize
They
how
don't realize-
dangerous it really is.
Yeah. But not only that, when they're talking to you and they want to put the music on and you're fishing, they're taking away from your mental, tuning into the fish.
Yeah.
They don't understand that if you put somebody else on the wheel, they'll drive you right off the fish. They have no clue. Not a clue.
have either of you ever been hit by a rogue wave?
I have
Yeah.
a couple of them.
Yeah.
Offshore in a canyon, we got caught off there in a storm. Lobster boat, bluefin fishing. Yeah.
All of a sudden, one came up.
No, we got caught in a squall out there.
So
Southeast 40 knots, and then came around the next morning, we're on the anchor. Now it's blowing 40 the other way. Now I got to get in.
Going northwest, right?
Oh,
Northwest is
14
the
hours
worst
steaming.
offshore.
wow.
I ended up in Shinnecock, Then I ran down the beach. Took the boat down the beach because Shinnecock from offshore was only, say, 70 miles, something like that. Wasn't that bad. Yeah.
My first time going offshore, 2 summers ago,
Right.
was with a captain named. You guys heard of him?
Not really.
Um,
We only know the old guys.
he's
The new
Not young.
guys got them fast boats, bro.
he's not a young gun.
Oh, okay.
He's been around for a while.
I hear you. Good luck to him.
He's got a 37-foot Jupiter, 2 outboards.
Oh, there you go.
It was predicted that the waves would be 3 to 5.
Good luck.
Yep. So we left at 3:30 a.m.
All right.
By sunrise, the waves were easily 10 to 12, and we found some life. There were birds. We're working them.
Sure.
There was bait we're marking.
Sure.
And, it was my first time offshore. The 3 other guys, they've been doing it a while.
Sure.
I said, why don't we stay here,
Right.
And the captain's like, no, we got to go to the Bacardi wreck,
Right.
which was another, I think, like 20 miles or something.
Sure.
And so, nobody wants to listen to me, and I didn't really want to speak up that much because what do I know? It's my
Right,
first
sure.
time.
Right.
But
sure.
we decided to go to the Bacardi wreck. It was about 7:30 in the morning.
Sure.
And it was my first trip offshore, so I was really excited. So you could imagine I didn't get much sleep the night before. So I'm kind of dozing in the chair. The captain's next to me driving, and my eyes are like half open.
Sure.
We hit like a 12-foot wave.
Nice.
Go over that.
Bingo.
There's a bigger one. There's about a 15-footer after that. We came up over that one, went down into the well of the wave.
Did you get wet?
Wet. Luckily,
Listen to this. I heard this story.
I was the only one with all my Grundens on, like
Okay.
buttoned up,
Sure.
right to my nose.
Uh,
And we come up over that second wave, and I look up, and there was a wave. And I hope I never ever see a wave like this ever
Was it
again.
white?
It was dark gray, and
Oh.
it was about as high as
Forget
a
about it.
stoplight or
Yeah.
a street light. And he hit it going full speed, which I guess is what you're supposed to do. I don't know.
No.
I don't know about that.
He hit it going full speed head on,
Yeah.
and the thing blew out the entire center console,
Everything.
ripped through the plexiglass, gave me whiplash,
Yeah.
filled up the whole center console with water,
Okay.
destroyed the outriggers, ripped all types of shit off the equipment on top.
Yeah.
This crazy guy, captain, turns, looks at me, starts hysterically laughing.
Yeah. Well, he's not right.
You're telling me.
it was his birthday too.
Put it this way,
and I look-
that was reckless.
It
right?
was, and
100%.
not to mention he didn't even have a fucking life raft on the boat.
We should have had an EPIRB at least.
And so I turn around after the wave hit, and the two guys behind me are pretty much swimming in the boat, holding on.
Yeah.
The whole boat was filled with water.
Yeah.
And he yells back to him, mid psychotic laugh, open the tuna doors. They opened the tuna doors. He floored the boat and drained it.
He was lucky because if
And
the engine
we got
stalled out,
lucky.
he
If
wouldn't
the
have
engine
done.
stalled out and if there had been another wave behind that one, I would have died.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
But that was the closest call.
So you're still going offshore?
I went not with him, but
I hear you, brother.
with I went offshore with John McMurray.
Oh yeah, the fly guy. Yeah,
Yeah, we went offshore and did top water fishing for yellowfin.
yeah. He's
And,
good. He catches.
oh, yeah,
fish.
he's good.
He's very
And
focused.
He is. He
Yeah,
is. He's
Offshore's
really good.
another world, brother. You don't want to mess around out there.
No, you don't. You don't. And he's very careful about it, which I appreciate.
I worked on commercial boats, gill netters, draggers, every damn thing. You know?
Yeah.
So not a place.
No, you can't mess around
Yeah.
out there.
And the captain's got to show respect, for the people and,
And to Mother Nature.
and not only that, never sail east into an easterly. Never go offshore if it's going to blow east
Why?
because it's never good. Never. It's only going to get worse.
And the other thing is,
Yeah.
northwest coming home.
Oh,
If it's going to blow real hard,
yeah.
you are going to get your brains beat in for
Yeah.
hours.
Forget it. That
You know,
trip
it's
there.
it's it's either one or the other. When you're going out southeast, when you're coming back northwest, either one of those is a killer. You get your brains beat in.
Yeah. Going offshore on an outboard's nice, but you better know your weather
Yeah.
and have, friends out there because,
Like going
things happen.
20, 25 knots in 8, 10-foot seas is not a smart thing to do.
No.
Yeah, it's a tough
Yeah,
one.
he went right into that one.
So, how's your neck now?
It's fine.
Okay,
It's all
thank
right.
God. Yeah,
But, when I found out he didn't have the raft, I was pissed.
yeah. Most of
And
them.
I
outboards
really,
won't have a
I
raft.
almost didn't pay him for the trip.
You should have had the immersion suits at least.
No, there was nothing. Like we would have
yeah.
been done, and there was no one
Yeah.
else by us. We were out there on our
Yeah.
own. Where
It's a tough
at
one.
that moment where we were
See,
at.
most of the guys now offshore, they got the sat phones, because you don't have any communication line out there. Cell phones don't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Such,
We actually kept
Yeah.
fishing after it, which sounds crazy, but it was
Yeah.
only because one guy had a radio that still worked, a waterproof handheld radio that we could
Yeah,
still
I
communicate.
would have
with.
turned around right away.
The rest of the trip was bad luck. We had a shark come up.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to listen to me because it was my first time out there.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the spread. Nobody else was watching it.
Yeah.
I see a big brown fin come up
Right.
right by the engine,
Yeah.
at least a 2.5 foot fin.
Right.
And I said, "Shark," to the guys. And right as I said it, the thing disappeared. So
Mm.
they're looking at me like, oh, he must have seen something. Maybe 30 seconds later, that shark pops up in the back of the spread and just starts chewing through the spread.
Right.
Chewed
What are
off
you,
probably
tuna
like
fishing?
$300 worth of lures.
Tuna fishing?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
trolling?
Trolling, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we caught
net?
one baby bluefin tuna.
That's insane.
It was a
Yeah.
terrible day. It was a terrible day.
First of all, he should have never went with 3 to 5s in a boat like that.
Yeah. Well, you got to now with the new internet and such, you get a lot better forecasts than you had years
Yeah,
ago.
right. Like last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Last weekend, me and you canceled.
Canceled the trip.
And
and
look
then
what happened.
I
turned
went
out
out Sunday and it started off flat, calm, nice. I says, "Oh, this ain't bad." We jigged the fish, all shorts, and so now they want to go black fishing. And I see the winds coming up. We run out there, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Now they're heaving over the side. I says, "What you boys want to do? You want to stay with this torch here, or head back in? Or you want to go back to
what'd
the
they do?
bass?" Like, oh, they ran like
They
forget it,
ran,
like
huh?
yeah, they ran right back in.
All right. I want to ask you guys a little bit about like the history of New York City fishing and how you've seen it change and develop over time. Like what did the fishing scene in New York City look like in the 70s?
Free for all, I would say.
Yeah.
What
all
about-
all small bass?
Yeah.
Only big bass you caught were in
Nighttime and such.
nighttime or in June.
On the beaches, you caught them.
What about the actual like industry? Because I remember, I mean, I don't remember because I actually wasn't alive, but
A lot more
I
guys
know
fishing.
that Sheepshead Bay had a ton
That
of
was-
party boats, right?
yeah, it was
We
a
used to
boom
call
town.
it Charter Boat Row.
Yeah, it's
How many boats would you say were there in its
There
prime?
was
every pier.
15
every
or 17 at one point.
and,
Every pier.
and why do you think it died out?
It's
Well, the fishing is nowhere near what it used to be.
the regulations, the bluefish, they took that away. That really killed it once they bluefish.
What
got
do,
it.
what do you mean?
Well, it was a big night blue fishing industry, Sheepshead Bay, and that's not there anymore. Yeah. You know, the night blue fishing?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
No,
Yeah.
I've done it before. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. But
There was charter boats there too.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
There was 5 or 6 charter boats right where Lundy's was,
okay.
Yeah.
right across from Lundy's.
Yeah, that was High Vogel, the
Yeah.
Chianti.
The Chianti, the
Yeah.
Sea Boots, the Mako,
Yeah.
the Johnny K,
Oh, you remember them, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
Pina.
And
you
one
know,
by one, they just went out of
just
business.
everybody just stopped.
They had a pier over there where they used to pull out of. Yeah, back then.
You know, and then back when we were fishing in the 70s, 16 inches was the limit for striped bass.
Right,
A 24-inch fish was a big fish,
right.
you know?
Now it's managed completely different.
Yeah, now we hardly catch any small fish up until like right now, you know, at the end of the year when this run is just about over, you catch the small fish. We used to catch them all year round. And then in the fall, years ago, we used to catch the big fish in November. And it all changed.
The laws have helped the striped bass come back, though. I mean, especially the fishery we have now with the bigger fish, you know.
Yeah, you got the bigger fish, but you don't have the middle.
But the
And that's the
problem is
problem.
you're killing the spawning population,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's not really the proper way to manage it.
So do you believe that there should be a slot size?
Yes, I believe that.
Me too. What do you think
Me
it should
too.
be?
Well, like the commercial used to be 24 to 28 or something, or maybe even smaller.
I mean, they
But,
taste better when they're smaller,
But
right?
the problem is, people want a trophy fish, and you know, it's a lot of economics involved.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
should be allowed a trophy fish,
Yeah,
but not. You see, one of the bad things that I see is there's a lot of guys that it's all about ego.
yes.
Okay,
Some of them, yeah.
and there's no reason to catch bass with treble hooks and throw them back and they're dead.
Yeah, I hate that.
Like when we had to run like last year or 2 years ago, and there was God knows how many boats out there, and guys were throwing them back. They were catching 30, 40 big
And they
fish.
were dying.
You see
Yeah,
it floating.
To Brooklyn,
Yeah.
actually, at times, people I know were on the boat. The
right.
fish were floating by dead,
Yeah,
big fish, and they were gaffing them,
Yeah.
putting them on the boat.
At least they
Right.
went
Because-
to use.
Why would you throw back these fish? You know, first of all, use a circle hook,
right.
and you know, don't throw them back dead.
Try to preserve the
I
fishery.
mean, if you
know.
can't keep the fish from dying, stop fishing.
Yeah, we
Catch
had
your limit
one,
and go home.
Rudy, last week, couple of weeks, when the big fish were around, we had one over 50. They already had their limit. I let them take the pictures and put it back. The guy wanted to keep it. I says, "No, you got to let it go." you know.
Good.
No, because and I wanted them to get it in the water because they're holding it. How long you kill the poor
Yeah.
thing? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Spe-
It was a
and
big female.
You get it on
know?
the troll,
Yeah,
so it's
Mojos.
already exhausted.
200 foot.
It's already exhausted. They want to take pictures, so it's out of the water.
Yeah,
for like-
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
that fish probably didn't make it.
No, it did. It did.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it
Good.
swam off.
That's good.
Yeah.
You see, we lost a lot of different types of fishing.
Right, the clam boat bite.
That's exactly what I was just going to
Yeah,
say.
100%. Yeah.
You know, we used to catch the fish all summer long. I used to catch fish from April
Yep.
all the way through till the end of December. All right. Now, the last 2-3 years, we lost the fishing
Yeah.
end of August all the way until October.
Yeah, the summer's horrible.
Yeah.
Not good.
It used to be good though.
I
Yeah.
used to catch fish
Yeah.
all the time.
Yes.
All
Especially
the
on
time.
the tin can grounds, areas like that.
The tin
Your
can
area,
grounds, is almost like I don't understand it. You don't catch bass there no
And
more.
down by you, Rudy, them along the channels and such,
Yeah.
that used to be good,
So what's the problem?
The water's very warm in the summer now, very warm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but the whole thing is those fish don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they go up north. There's a whole different regime of the way the migration pattern is now.
You think
Everything
it
goes
has?
north.
You think it has a lot to do with water temp?
Yes, I
Partially.
think so. Yeah,
Would
we had
be.
82 degrees. I was catching amberjack fluking this year. We had quite a few of them.
What's the ideal temperature for striped bass in
I
terms of
think
water
60,
temperature?
40, 58, 60 on the bigger fish, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the
In the
bait's
spring,
gotta,
it's 52. In the fall, it's 60.
the bait's got to be there. Bait's got to be there. Plus
See,
the
the whole
fish,
thing is the schools are nowhere near
No.
as big as they used to be.
and the fish are going off to the deep. They're not coming into the beach.
Let's
Right.
talk about that a little bit about
Staying off.
the EEZ zone.
Yeah, definitely
Because
a lot.
I know a lot of guys fish real close to that
Right.
because that's where the big fish are.
Well,
And
from
I've
the
also
last few years, the fish are steaming further into the deep water every year. And I know they were 100 feet of water off of Toll Bay Beach. All the fish you wanted, a blitz out there.
I heard a story last week.
Yeah.
A friend of mine's friend came out of Manasquan.
Right,
They were going tuna fishing in the mud hole.
right,
This is 2 weeks ago.
sure,
And on the way there, in over 100 feet of water,
right.
he said there was a school of fish
Crazy.
that was tremendous,
Mm-hmm.
like a mile wide.
yeah.
And I heard this story twice. Once there, another one in Montauk. The old brother seen the same thing. That miles of fish
Deep.
in the deep, and the fish just rolling all over the
I
place.
think these fish are getting smarter.
That was going to be my next
You know.
question. Do you think they're smartening up?
Absolutely. And people won't, they don't give the fish no credit, but they've been around millions of years. They're going to survive. They'll figure it out.
I've
you know?
heard recently that they're considering opening that zone to fishermen. How do you
Right.
feel about that?
Well, it would be good for the charter boat industry. I mean, I can't see us hurting it at one a man,
Mm-hmm.
Would it be though? Because I mean, look at how many charter boats are out there on the regular.
Well, there is a lot of guys.
if
There's
they
a lot
o-
more than there used to
if
be.
they open that zone, which is pretty much a nursery, right? It's a safe
I don't know
zone.
if it's a
I mean,
nursery.
it's a safe zone.
It's
a
just a
safe zone.
migration run. The nursery is up in the rivers and that, in the bays.
True.
See,
true.
the
Okay.
bunkers-
I should have chosen
Yeah.
a different
The
word.
bunkers
Yeah,
are
sure.
staying
But it's
offshore.
a safe zone. It's supposed to be their safe place, right?
Yeah.
Like
You know what really saves the fish? The weather.
Mm-hmm.
And
At
this
least in the
year,
fall.
they got a lot of saving, brother.
This year reminds me of, I was telling him
It
before.
was crazy.
Do you remember 1978?
I don't remember hardly last week.
In 1978, I
Yeah.
was commercial fishing,
Okay.
and from
78.
October
Jeez.
through November,
Right.
we only got out maybe 6, 7 times.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was blowing every single day,
Yeah.
just like it is this year.
It started August, the
Was
last
good.
week, and didn't end. It's been going since that last week
Mhm.
of August,
And the fish go through without anybody bothering them.
And how many weekends did you lose, Rudy?
Forget it. I blew at
Everything's
least
a cancel.
25 to 30 charters I canceled this year.
100%. We're supposed to do 2 this weekend. I don't think nobody's coming,
Yeah, because at this point,
Well,
at
already
least
the-
from where I'm standing, booking trips for people,
Yeah,
they see me canceling these trips,
yeah,
refunding everybody.
yeah.
Who's going to want to send their fare over to me to go out on a trip that's just going to be canceled? Because that's the mentality, I
But
think.
you got to do the right thing.
Yeah, but
for
it's
the
got
people.
nothing
Oh,
to do with
absolutely.
you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I always
I don't
will.
take the money for.
No,
not
I
doing the
I
right
always
thing.
will. But,
Yeah,
it just sucks that because like
Well,
last
put it
weekend,
this way.
you got to
it
understand.
was good weather, but we went with the forecast. And
Yeah, the forecast, put it this way. He calls
Yeah.
me up. He says to me,
Sure.
are we going? I said, yeah. So he says, did you hear the forecast? He says, one of my other boats canceled.
Right.
So I took a look. So I looked at it at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, it said north 5 miles an hour inshore
Oh, that sounds good.
and 10 to 15 offshore. You know,
Right.
like where we've been catching the fish.
Sure.
So I said, that's not so bad. So I look, now I see 15 to 20
Oh,
northwest with gusts to 30.
they changed it. Yeah.
Okay? He called me at 7:30 at night,
Right.
7 o'clock. Then I look at the offshore, there's gale warning,
Yeah.
20 to 25 with gusts to 35.
So you know it's coming. Yeah.
So, you ain't going to fish in that.
Nah.
First of all, you don't want to bring the people out, and some people will never come back again.
Yeah.
And you
Don't
don't want to
beat
put
'em
the
up.
people in harm's way either.
Yeah. Tough. This year
But
we had a lot
I
of
woke
bad
up in
weather.
the morning, it was flat calm. They
Yeah.
blew the forecast.
They blew it.
They do it all the time.
You got to have all these new sites they have on the, these internet sites. This guy says this one works. The other one says something else.
Yeah.
But they blow it all the time.
Yeah, they do.
So what was it like in the 80s when the moratorium hit? How'd that
That
impact
was
you
bad.
guys?
Oh, you
Believe
mean
it
with
or
the
not,
bass?
Yeah.
There
with
was
the bass.
actually more fish then than there is now.
It was loaded. Forget it. Ugh.
Forget about it. You
Like
have
as
no
soon
idea how
as
much
the
fish was around.
moratorium went into place, or a few
What,
years
before
after?
it? I never saw a lack of fish
No.
before the moratorium or after it. I mean,
Yep.
we was, you know what it was? The guys back then didn't know how to catch them. There was
Mhm.
guys that knew how to fish, and the other guys more or less were, didn't know anything.
Googans.
There was tons
Something
of
like
fish
that,
during the
yeah.
moratorium. Tons.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s,
I think there's less fish now.
there is a lot less fish now
Definitely.
So do you
than
think
when we were
we're-
fishing back then.
The fall
Yeah.
runs a lot shorter.
Forget it.
the fall run has been getting worse and worse every year?
Well, right now there's a ton of small fish
But
around.
the spring
but they're gonna
runs
move
are
off.
good.
Yeah, the spring runs are
Yeah, I'll
still
go
good.
back
but
to Don Bingler again.
The
He
spring's
used to
better.
say, if the spring run is good, the fall run won't be good. If the
But-
spring run isn't that good, your fall run will be
But
good.
what you see now in the spring is you go into the Raritan Bay, you got 1,000 boats there. I never seen nothing like it in my life. It doesn't. Everybody's fishing striped bass. Years ago, you didn't have that. It was blues, flounder.
Now look at what happened with you.
Yeah,
You were a big Jamaica Bay guy.
sure.
What happened the last 3 years in Jamaica Bay?
Wasn't good.
Right?
Last year, April, we got them, and then it was not
So
good.
what does that tell you?
It's cleaned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys
Fishing
think
is not
we're-
what it used to be.
And believe it or not, the fish show up there now sometimes in June. I think they smartened up when nobody's fishing for them.
Look at this
Yeah.
fall in the river.
Yeah. And nobody used to fish the river years ago. Everybody's running up there now.
Well, I used to fish the river for
Well,
years.
yeah, you were up
'cause
there.
That's where I.
We only went up
come out
there
of.
when we commercial fish for the small stuff, in the old days. Like, yeah.
Well, believe it or not,
Yeah.
your buddy and
Yeah.
me in the
Yeah.
80s
Yep.
were fishing by.
Which buddy? The big one?
Yeah, the big one.
Mhm.
We
I
used to
ain't
fish
saying
up there,
Yeah, yeah.
and the fishing was absolutely unbelievable.
It was good back then. yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then it slowed down a little bit, but it's got its moments. But this fall, the fishing up there in October and November was no good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fish never went through there.
There's a lot to learn in that river. There's so many spots
Oh,
and, that,
yeah.
and drops and tides and all kinds
Yeah.
of crazy things
One
going on.
of the coolest things I saw fishing the river with you, Rudy, this year
Yeah.
was when we fished over the Battery Tunnel, and you
Yeah.
could actually see the Battery Tunnel on the sonar,
Yeah.
and you could see the bait fish behind one side of the
Rudy's
tunnel.
got that river wide. I got to follow him a little
And
more
then you
over
could
there.
see this. You could see the bait fish on one side of the tunnel hiding,
Yeah.
and then you could see the striper marks on the other side
Yeah.
waiting to cross over and hit the bait fish.
Yeah.
How about the '90s? What was that like?
Let's see.
That's when the
90s.
big fish came back.
Was
The
it?
big fish came back in the mid 90s
Why is that? Do you think?
because of the law, what
'Cause
they
the
did with the
moratorium.
36-inch limit.
Oh, okay.
So
They
from
closed
that,
they closed the commercial fishing. What was it? 2 years? Was it? Or a
yeah,
year?
2 years,
But-
82
but
to
the rec
84.
That's when they came
recreation
out
was
with
open?
the licenses, the
Right.
commercial licenses
So they closed the commercial,
for 2 years.
but they
You couldn't-
kept the recreational open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
what they did was
Yeah.
the license
That might have made a
that they
big
gave
difference.
us, you weren't allowed to fish in this area.
Yeah, we got screwed bad, real bad.
You
What?
can only fish from Deb's Inlet East.
Yeah, you can't commercial
No,
fish
it was
in Italy.
Wading River in the beginning, remember?
Yeah, that was the one up on the North Shore.
Yeah, you were only able to fish out east.
So
And
they
then-
gave
Then
East
they
guys,
moved it.
the Montauk guys got everything, and the guys in the West got screwed. That's basically what they did because they had the politicians, Dorier, and all
Yeah.
them were strong out.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll
out
give you a
east.
real good one.
Uh,
Just think of this. What was the fishing like forever in Montauk?
it was great.
And what is it like the last 2-3 years?
It's not that good. The bass run ain't there.
Yeah.
It ain't there.
That was like an aquarium.
Yeah.
I used to bring my boat out there every year.
Yeah. I had the boat out there in the 80s. I kept it at gun
Oh
fishing.
my God. It
Yeah.
was like if you couldn't catch fish out there,
Yeah.
Might as well pick up golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it was ridiculous fishing.
But Montauk's changed a lot.
A
It's
lot.
a big tourist trap now. You know, it's the Hampton people went in there. Everything is pricey. You
Mhm.
know, it's less of a fisherman's town, like, you know. Even when you go out there, you better have plenty of cash.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if Sandy wrecked a lot of stuff around here, but like
Uh,
the crazy thing is you're catching the bottom fish on the tin can grounds, but you're not catching the bass.
right.
So it doesn't make any
One
sense.
thing I saw this year, a lot of blowfish come back
Yeah.
and a kingfish when I was fluking. So that's a good sign, you know.
At
Mhm.
least something's coming back.
Yeah, but, you know, you have these cormorants. They're eating everything, you know. We never had them years ago, and then they're protected. They're down there eating all the flounders, all the small, you know, whatever's down there.
Oh, that's like a fish finder. You see
Yeah,
the
it is.
cormorants,
Forget
you know
about
that the
it.
fish
Yeah.
are there.
Yeah.
They're protected, you know. I don't know why they protected them for, you know.
Yeah. So you can't shoot them and eat them.
Delicious. I know the Japanese got away. They put a string around a bird's neck and they send it down. They take 3 or 4 fish and then they let the bird have one. It's like a pet bird. You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Describe that in a little more detail, please.
They have a bird on a boat.
They catch it.
It's like a pet bird. They hold a bird. They have a rope around its like neck.
A pet bird. So they
Yeah,
caught
they
it.
send the bird down fishing. The bird gets the fish. They make him spit so many up to it, 3 or 4. Then after that, he gets to keep one or whatever they give him. Then they feed him at night too. Yeah, it's a true story. You never heard that?
Who uses that technique?
The Japanese in the old days.
Not
Bird
used
fishing.
anymore.
I don't know. We got to look it up. Google it.
Bird fishing, huh?
Yeah, Google it. It'll
guess
come
we gotta
up.
catch-
Everything's on there.
We gotta get, yeah, including your criminal record.
Oh, forget about it. I've done a lot of fish pirating in
I'm
the old days.
joking. I'm joking. What about post September 11th? How was
that was a killer for everybody. Killed the whole business, you know.
really?
We weren't really worried about fishing, just worried about what the hell was going on with the country, you know.
Yeah.
What's next, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a tough one. Sandy storm too killed a lot of the fishing over here.
Mm-hmm.
Killed the whole clam bite that behind the draggers. Remember that, Rudy?
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, you know what the guy told me on the clam boat? He said it destroyed the whole beds. So now they're clamming off a shinnecock for the bait. That's why your clams went up so high and such, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
What other type of structure or bait was damaged by Sandy?
Oh, I think people's lives was
Well,
damaged
in
by
terms
it.
of fishing.
Fishing, you know, the bottom, definitely, for sure.
A lot of things got covered over.
Yeah,
Okay.
the wrecks and such, yeah. A lot of stuff.
Some of it's starting to come back, but
I
there's a
tell you
lot of
what,
it
the
got
year
covered
after the
over.
storm, the bottom fishing here was fantastic. There was sea bass, there was croakers, there was spots, there was all kinds of southern stuff. I think the storm blew them up.
And the spot was unbelievable. I remember
Yeah, big ones.
that year fishing with the spots live.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my God.
they loved that.
There were guys next to us with bunkers.
Nothing.
Me and Richie were doing it.
Yeah.
And
The kid.
there were guys next to us
Yeah,
that were fishing with live bunker.
right.
We were getting 5 and 6 on at a time.
It make you sick.
And these guys couldn't catch a fish next to us. It was
Like when they're on a
ridiculous.
herring like
Yeah.
that, you know, they want that and that's it. It's
Uh,
like candy. And
I've
stuff.
actually heard little
Yeah.
intel about the herring.
All right, give it up, kid.
They're around Canarsie right now.
I saw guys jigging
and
in
there's
the bay.
there's bass
Yeah.
on them
I wouldn't be surprised.
at night.
Yeah.
At night, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Problem now is the weather's gotten so bad that when you go out, you're looking at a 6-degree temperature drop and you don't know where anything is, you know? You got to go hunting around. You
Yeah,
find that,
last
Rudy, you
week,
get out the next day?
Yeah,
You know, it's
I
a week
was
later.
fishing off Rockaway,
Yeah,
and then I
Yeah.
wound up past Scotland last week.
sure.
And the next day they were gone.
Yeah, got to cover a lot of water. The big fish disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guys are running up the river. Is there anything going on up there? I don't know. Yeah.
In terms of the water quality around New York City,
Much better.
yeah.
Mhm.
What was it like in the 70s, the 80s?
Horrible.
It was.
I seen a dead cow coming down the Hudson River there one day.
You
we
have
was
no
fishing.
idea what it was like. We used to have to play dodgeball. It
Yeah, the
was like
logs.
a lumber yard.
Yeah.
Coming out of my marina, there was like so much debris in the water. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely.
That when we were fishing,
Saw a
you'd
cow.
anchor up,
Yeah, floating.
and as soon as you seen the garbage go through,
True story.
that's when you'd start catching fish. That was the ticket. As soon as the garbage went through,
Oh,
the
okay.
fish would start biting.
Jamaica Bay, the
God.
water got a lot cleaner than it used to be.
You know, off Coney
Much
Island too, you
cleaner.
could see the bottom.
When would you say
The sludge dumping, when they stopped the sludge dumping, the offshore dumping, cleaned up a
that's
lot
when
of
it
stuff.
switched up?
Now you're seeing skates coming in. You're seeing a lot of bottom life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped it.
Well, the porgy fishing came back big time.
Thank God for that.
If it
Without
wasn't for
that, we'd be dead.
Yeah, that's a
dead.
lifesaver.
Except when you got to clean them.
Yeah.
You love cleaning
I got
them,
an
though,
electric
right?
scaler.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you
we
know
got
who
that
loves
now.
cleaning them? J-Rod. That's his favorite fish to
God,
clean.
no. And then the boat, forget it. The boat becomes a mess. But there's definitely a good fishery there. You know, I mean, we haven't had that in years. That's one thing that got better.
I heard
you ain't
stories that back in the day, there were parts of the river that were so polluted that if you dropped a match on it, it would actually light on fire.
I
Is there
don't
any
believe
truth
That's
to that?
not true.
Not true?
Nah.
Put it this way.
Debunked.
Back in the day, some of the bass that you caught by the Verrazano Bridge tasted like kerosene.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, they used to taste bad.
But
you still ate
you
'em.
couldn't throw a match in and start a fire. That's not true.
But who knows what the hell's in that water? They've been dumping in there for years. They ain't
Mhm.
going to tell you half of it, you know?
So would you
The
say that?
PCBs.
Yeah.
all.
But I mean, the striped bass is a migratory fish. So
Sure.
would you say that it's safe to eat even if you catch one up by, let's say, Battery Park?
100%. Because you're not, most of the toxins are in the liver.
So at what point in the river would you say it's not safe to eat the fish?
I don't
anymore?
believe there's a point. It's just, you know, fish swim wherever they're going to go.
Yeah.
Put it this way. They said that the fish you catch out east better than the fish you catch here.
Right,
The fish you catch out east, we're here first.
right.
You know, so what's the difference?
But the
like you
problem
said,
is
they're migrating.
We're still closed here for commercial fishing.
Yeah.
And the government don't want to do the testing to allow us to go back fishing.
Let me ask you this
Yeah.
after that statement. Would you say or would you agree that our area kind of gets, for lack of a better word, shafted in terms of, you know, regulations and licenses and
As far as what, the state or?
as far
state,
as
yes.
yeah, as far
We
as
get
the
shafted
state,
compared to New Jersey.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We don't get treated, you know,
Why do you think that is? Because
a matter of the interstate, Atlantic Interstate Commission, whatever they
It's probably
figure out.
the bureaucrats and the
Right,
politicians.
sure.
from what I understand,
Yeah.
Jersey seems to just generate more money because they have Pennsylvania, and they have all these anglers from Pennsylvania that
They
go
do
and
get
fish
a lot of people.
the. you
It's
know,
more of a tourism state than New York,
Yeah.
especially in the New York
yeah,
area.
and you got a lot of people from New York that go out to Montauk when they don't even realize that they could catch the same, if not better, fish right here without having to
It's
pay
got
for.
a stigma to it here,
Yeah.
especially like Sheepshead Bay and such.
Why do
know.
you think that is? What caused this stigma?
I don't know, brother.
Well, put it this way. Years ago, this area was almost as good as Montauk.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The
So what
fishing
happened?
here was absolutely phenomenal when we were
Younger. yeah.
younger. It was unbelievable. You know, we had the birds up every single day.
Right.
Now, if you see the birds, it's like, wow, I can't believe, you know. You get them in the spring a little bit and in the fall, but the whole summer we used to have the birds all the time.
So what is the stigma? Let's break that down. What is the stigma?
It's New York. It's not attractive to fishing. You know, everything in New York City is catered to Manhattan, and they don't really develop the waterfront or anything. They're starting to do it now with these ferries and such. You know, but I think there's a change coming. You know,
In what way?
they're starting to realize there's a lot of resources on the water, like with these ferries. One thing I could say, the mayor did a good thing like that. I give him a good plug. That he's seeing that there's a need for not being in the subway and utilize a quick method of transportation for people. And develop the waterfront. Without raping it, like with the parks for the people and such. It's nice, I think. You know. But everybody wants to go to Montauk. That's nice. There's a place to stay. There's no hotels or nothing down here.
Yeah.
It's not developed properly.
To cater to
Fishermen, exactly.
fishermen, yeah.
Yeah.
You think there's any way to change that?
I don't know. You need to get the politicians in your pocket, I think.
It's gonna take some money.
Yeah, it always takes money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the bluefish in here
Yeah,
really
that fell off. Yeah.
fell off.
Yeah, the
and
bluefishing
it's
fell
killing
off.
the party boat industry.
Yeah, definitely did.
It's like what you said to me over the summer when you see the Brooklyn fishing for porgies. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no bluefishing.
Because that's all they used to fish for, right?
Look, the
That's,
flamingo. The flamingo used to go
The
out every
bluefish
day.
are up off in Nantucket. That's where they are. So I think it's the water temperature or whatever. We don't have the bait for them, or
You don't think there's any possibility they've been overfished?
I don't know if they're overfished or in a down cycle.
Because there is a,
It's not really a big commercial species.
and that's what I thought.
It ain't.
Because I don't really see
Most
it.
of the bluefish, commercial fish, is caught by gill netters,
Yeah.
and they're not really looking for bluefish.
Well, a couple
most
of
the
years ago, I
time.
heard they were shipping them to Africa. For
And they
a
were
while.
shipping the porgies over there in the whiting, I think.
Whiting is another fishery that
That's
got destroyed, and
yeah.
the mackerel.
Oh the mackerel's gone too. That was another one.
When we were growing up,
Hey,
we
every
used to-
April.
yeah, we used to go out
Yeah.
and catch 300, 400, 500 mackerel.
That was a big fishery
then
in the bay. Remember all the
Jig on the
boats
bottom.
going?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was big.
and we'd catch whiting.
Yeah,
We used to catch whiting off the Steeplechase Pier.
yeah,
Any size to them?
Yeah, we used to call them baseball bats.
yeah.
Wow.
After the bass left, you get mackerel and whiting, and you go for that if you could stand the cold. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
as charter captains, do you guys think that there's any chance that we're on the path to another moratorium for stripers?
I don't see it. No,
I don't know, maybe.
it's not as good as it was, but I think this
No.
year was better. What do you think?
Yeah, this year was good.
Yeah, better. I mean, but you need a lot more intel. Years ago, you didn't have all the modern electronics, and with this internet, you find this guy's fishing here, and they're mugging him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not as many fish. Definitely not.
Definitely, I agree.
Small fish, yes, but not big. And even when small fish come, it don't last long. It's a short shot.
My
not
last
long.
my last question, you guys, is what do you guys think of the Brooklyn Fishing Club?
I think you're great guys, especially the president. Seems like a nice guy.
I don't know about that.
I think he could be.
It's a nice bunch of guys.
Yeah. We had him on a boat. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
They're into it.
Yep.
You know what? You're starting a thing that there's definitely a big interest in it. I mean, you could probably have a Queens Club and such and such. Even Manhattan.
Yeah, we've got chapters. We got a
Yeah.
chapter in Manhattan, chapter in Queens, Staten Island.
Really?
Yep.
You guys are big, huh?
Yep,
Gotta
only-
watch out.
I've been watching out.
I hear you. Well, you know what? It's a good thing. Promote it, and it's a good recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's.
Put it this way, it got a lot of people involved that never even knew, So you sparked a lot of interest with a lot of different types of people.
Yeah, Exactly.
I mean, some of them probably never fished before. They
Yeah.
got interested through the internet.
People
and now
come together, they
they're
get
hooked.
friendships going on. It's
Yeah.
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we got for tonight.
All right, great.
I really appreciate you guys coming through.
I hope we helped you out a
You
little
two
bit.
are true legends of the New York City fishing scene.
Well, we ain't that good.
Don't
We're
sell
just
yourself
learning
short.
it.
Yeah, right. I'm just learning it from you guys. But I really do appreciate you guys and
All right.
the fact that you came through.
Well, thanks for having us.
No
Yeah.
problem. No problem.
And hopefully catch plenty of fish next year.
Yeah, Lady L charters with Captain Rudy, Gypsy charters with Captain Frank,
Right.
Captain Josh over there holding
Yeah,
it down.
Nice people.
Great people.
If you guys want to come out black fishing, we might have some openings.
Thank you to all of our listeners who have been listening in
Sure.
to each of these episodes as we launch them. We really appreciate you. And if you have any suggestions for topics or guests that we should have on,
Sure.
please email brooklynfishingclub@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Brooklyn Fishing Club. Check us out at Facebook at the same title, Brooklyn Fishing Club. And we will be back next week for episode 5. With that,
Interesting.
I will say tight lines, and I'll see you next week.